A woman wakes up and finds herself locked in a sealed room. She looks around and sees a large number 9 hanging on the wall. Directly in front of her is an iron door. Seeing this unfamiliar room, she realizes she might have been imprisoned by someone, but she has no memory of why she's here. She stands up and slowly walks toward the iron door, trying to pull it open with her hands, but its surface is smooth as a mirror. Apart from a bolt at the top, there's nowhere to apply force. Just as she's at a loss for what to do, a beeping sound comes from behind. She turns and sees a timer on the wall. Watching the seconds tick by, an inexplicable sense of unease fills her heart. She has no idea what it means. Then, she notices a bundle of red rope lying nearby. Looking again at the timer on the wall, she wonders, could there be a connection between the two? With curiosity, she picks up the red rope and finds a phone hidden inside. Excited, she grabs the phone and immediately tries to call for help, only to find there's no signal. Disheartened, she collapses to the ground. It seems the signal here has been blocked. She looks again at the timer. 2 minutes have passed. She doesn't understand what the person behind this is trying to achieve. She starts searching the room, even checking the gaps in the walls, but the empty room offers no clues for escape. With no leads, she picks up the red rope again. As she unravels it, she finds it is exactly as long as the width of the room. But what does that mean? As she puzzles over it, a stain in the corner catches her eye. Following the stain upward, she spots a skylight in the ceiling. She jumps in place trying to reach it, but it's far too high. Taking a few steps back, she tries a running jump, still no use. Frustrated, she finally loses control and curses out loud.
What am I doing here?
Suddenly, the room's lights turn green. Startled, she curls up on the floor. Moments later, the lights return to normal. 9 minutes have passed. Out of options, she takes out the phone and searches for clues. Opening the camera, she notices that the number 9 is also printed on her clothes. Just like on the wall, she still doesn't know what it means. Then, she checks the photo album and finds a picture of a woman. Zooming in, the face seems familiar, but she can't remember who it is. Apart from this photo, there are no other clues in the phone. Helpless, she takes off her shoe and tries smashing the skylight handle. After many attempts, she realizes it's useless. Once again, she stares at the photo of the woman, wondering who she might have offended. In a fit of rage, she hurls the phone across the room. To her shock, the phone gets embedded in the wall. She retrieves it and peers into the hole created, discovering that the wall is actually made of plaster. As she slowly widens the hole, she finds another concrete wall behind it. Her brief hope is instantly crushed. At that moment, the timer behind her reaches 15 minutes. The room plunges into total darkness. Then, pounding noises start echoing through the room. Terrified, she crouches in a corner and silently prays for help. Luckily, the lights soon come back on. She slowly stands and cautiously approaches the iron door. To her surprise, the bolt has vanished. She gathers her courage and pulls the door open, only to despair as she sees yet another wall behind it. Suddenly, the timer begins a 45-minute countdown. Enraged, she screams and curses again, causing the green light to activate once more. She deduces that when the volume exceeds a certain decibel, the green light turns on. But what does that mean? While she's still bewildered, a man's voice echoes through the room. Turning around, she realizes the voice is coming from a ventilation duct. She quickly calls out but receives no reply. Thinking she imagined it, she's stunned when the man actually responds. After a brief exchange, they conclude that neither of them knows why they're there, nor do they remember anything that happened before. Their only goal now is to find a way out. She picks up the red rope and tries to hook it around the skylight handle to climb out, but the man advises against it. He's already tried, and it doesn't work. Still, the woman believes she can do it. After countless attempts, she finally manages to hook the handle with the rope. Gripping it tightly, she began climbing up. Just as she was about to reach the top, the handle suddenly snapped, and the woman fell hard to the ground, losing consciousness. When she awoke again, she found her arm dislocated. As she reached out to touch it, a piercing screech erupted in her head, causing unbearable pain. Thankfully, it quickly subsided. Struggling, she got to her feet, leaned against the wall corner with her shoulder, adjusted her breathing, and with one strong push, forcibly reset the dislocated arm. She then told the man that they must escape as soon as possible, but he advised her not to struggle needlessly. Just as he finished speaking, the man suddenly let out a painful scream. The woman rushed to ask what had happened, but there was no sound for a long time. Finally, the man responded. To help him, the woman began unscrewing the bolts on the vent cover using the skylight handle. After some effort, she managed to remove the metal mesh. With 10 minutes left on the countdown, she had no idea what would happen when time ran out. Bracing herself, she climbed into the ventilation duct. Suddenly, a green beam of light appeared ahead. She reached out to test it. An ear-piercing alarm blared, followed by an intense pain in her head. She retreated in panic and accidentally got scratched on the arm by a screw. Clutching her head, she collapsed to the ground in agony. The alarm eventually stopped and she slowly recovered. Meanwhile, the man began unscrewing bolts from his side. The woman, weakened, leaned against the wall and slowly slid to the floor. Then she noticed something shocking. The blood on the wall behind her was dark green. Looking at her wounded arm, she reached into the wound and pulled out a microchip. Things were getting more and more complicated. The timer now showed only 1 minute remaining. She urged the man to hurry. Just as he removed the vent cover, the countdown hit 0. The signal channel closed automatically and the iron door locked shut. The woman frantically pounded on the iron door, and just as she was about to lose all hope, a panel on the door fell off, revealing a rectangular opening. Cautiously, she stepped forward to inspect it and sensed something inside. She reached in and, to her shock, pulled out a pistol. Before she could react, white poisonous gas began to pour from the opening, quickly filling the room.
I'll do it!
It seemed the purpose of the gun was to allow her to end her life before dying of poison. She raised the gun and prepared to pull the trigger, but then suddenly had an idea. Instead of turning it on herself, she pointed the gun at the skylight and fired. The room's lights instantly turned red, and the bullet left only a small mark on the glass. Then the skylight exploded. Overjoyed, she quickly tied a knot in the red rope and after a few tries, successfully looped it around a pillar outside the skylight. She finally escaped the room. But as she looked around, she realized she was now in another empty room, and the sky she saw was merely a giant screen. Panicked, she ran toward the man's room. She found him in the same situation, about to shoot himself. She cried out to stop him, but it was too late. Watching him lie in a pool of blood, the woman was devastated. Then, the lights in a nearby room turned on and a strange man slowly walked out. While he hadn't noticed her yet, the woman quietly slipped away. She sprinted down corridors, realizing this place was some sort of experimental facility. She reached a conference room, where the image on a television screen caught her attention. The man who had just died was on screen, giving a self-introduction. It was only then that the woman understood. She and the man were humanoid replicas created by this company. They had their memories wiped repeatedly, all in order to test artificial self-awareness. Unable to believe the truth, she smashed the TV in a rage, only to see black blood flow from her own arm, forcing her to accept the reality. Entering another room, she found a photo on the wall. It was the same woman from the photo album on the phone. That woman was the founder of the company. Suddenly, she felt a tap on her shoulder. She spun around to see the strange man, and her head was immediately overwhelmed by pain. Memories of the man experimenting on her flooded her mind. She raised the gun at him, but the gun was out of bullets. She turned and tried to run, but the man merely tapped a screen, and the woman instantly froze in place. Without hesitation, the man pressed the shutdown button, and the cruel experiment began once more.